Along the southwestern corner of the Grand Loop Road in Yellowstone National Park, there are 3 geyser basins along the Firehole River. The basins are named for the locations along the river, shown in red, the upper, midway, and lower geyser basins. This video will give an overview of what can be found in these areas. We'll start by looking at the upper geyser basin. The upper geyser basin can be split into 4 sections, each of which is accessible by boardwalks and trails. The first section we'll look at is the area around Old Faithful, including Geyser Hill. This is the area with the park's main attraction, Old Faithful. Old Faithful can be seen here from Geyser Hill with Beehive Geyser in the foreground. Geyser Hill itself has many other fascinating features along its boardwalks. The next section is the trail to Morning Glory Pool, which can be accessed from Geyser Hill or more directly from the Visitor Center. This section is named for the hot spring at the furthest point along the paved trail, Morning Glory Pool, but there are dozens of other features, such as Grotto Geyser and Grand Geyser. 4 geysers along this path are predictable, and you can see when their next expected eruptions are at the Visitor Center or on the phone app available from the park. Next comes Biscuit Basin. If you're feeling ambitious, you could continue on from Morning Glory Pool along the dirt trail to see this area, but there is also a separate parking lot for the area. Biscuit Basin was named for the biscuit-like features that can be found in the area. Not all of the features look like biscuits, but there are plenty of features worth a visit. The 4th section of the upper basin is Black Sand Basin. Some features here are surrounded by the black rock which gives the area its name, while Cliff Geyser is a highlight right next to Iron Spring Creek, which dumps into the Firehole River near Biscuit Basin. So those are the 4 accessible parts of the upper basin. The Myriad Group is also in the upper geyser basin, but most of the area is too dangerous to be open to the public due to the thousands of vents it contains. However, Three Sisters Spring is one part of the Myriad Group that is accessible from the road. Seen from above, the 3 pools can be distinguished pretty easily. If you look closer, you can also see that the North Sister actually contains 3 separate vents of its own. 2 of these vents have their own names and are regularly active. Three Crater Geyser, on the east side of the pool, is one of the more tame vents. Mugwump Geyser, to the southwest of Three Crater in the pool, is less tame. The term mugwump comes from a political group in 1884 that argued against its own party's nominee in a brief but explosive way. According to T. Scott Bryan in his book entitled The Geysers of Yellowstone, many people felt the mugwumps complained loudly for little or no reason, accomplishing nothing. That's kind of how Mugwump Geyser works. A brief but explosive eruption occurs, but then the pool quickly calms to the point where you'd never know it was more than a hot spring. But 30 seconds later, the ruckus starts again and calms just as quickly. Other than Mugwump and the Three Sisters Spring in general, the Myriad Group is not accessible, but there is plenty to see in the four main areas of the Upper Geyser Basin. Before we look at the Midway Geyser Basin, we'll zoom out a little to show a few features near but not really in the Upper Geyser Basin proper, shown by the three markers. We'll start with the one furthest up the Firehole River, a single geyser appropriately named Lone Star Geyser. Lone Star requires a hike for a couple miles away from the road, but it is worth the effort. The next point can be seen right from a pull-out along the road, the Kepler Cascades. As with many features in Yellowstone and everywhere, the appearance of these falls can change depending on the time of day you see them. The final marker in the area points to Mystic Falls. Mystic Falls also requires a hike, but it is less than a mile from the boardwalk at Biscuit Basin. Moving downriver from the Upper Geyser Basin, we'll look at the Midway Geyser Basin next. The focal point of this area is Grand Prismatic Spring, which is so large it is easily visible in this view. A boardwalk provides access to the area. From the boardwalk, the view of the largest spring in the park is less than optimal, but the bacterial mats surrounding it are vast and beautiful. The best view of Grand Prismatic is from the observation point on the hill to the west, which we'll see shortly. But the boardwalk provides good views of a handful of other impressive features, like turquoise and opal pools, as well as Excelsior Geyser Crater. The rest of the Midway Geyser Basin involves getting away from the road a bit. The green line represents a trail that will take you to three major features that are well worth the 3-mile hike in and out. The Fairy Falls Trailhead has its own small parking lot, and you start by crossing the Firehole River. About 3/4 of a mile in, you can take a short spur up the hill to the Grand Prismatic Spring overlook. This is where you can get a great view of the rainbow of colors that make up Grand Prismatic Spring. Back down the spur to the main trail, you continue northwestward to the intersection that takes you west to Fairy Falls. This thin ribbon of a waterfall is almost 200 feet high. The final stretch of the trail leads north from Fairy Falls to Imperial Geyser. Though the trail leading here is well maintained, this area requires enough effort that it is much less crowded than the boardwalk areas, so it feels more intimate and serene. The geyser is generally pretty active, and right next to it is a type of feature that is not found in the Upper Geyser Basin, called a paint pot. On the other side of the road from the Fairy Falls Trail is the Rabbit Creek Group. If you want to visit this area, you will need some backcountry skills and common sense, since there are no developed trails in the area. If you feel capable of tackling it, you may get to experience the tomato soup pools for which the area is known. Further downriver from the Midway Basin is the Lower Geyser Basin. The first area we'll look at here is Firehole Lake Drive. As the name suggests, this is not a walking trail but a road with multiple turnouts for viewing the variety of features. Firehole Lake Drive is a one-way road, and when you follow it back to the main road, you wind up at the Fountain Paint Pots. This area was named after one of the significant geysers in the area, as well as the paint pot feature it contains. Much larger than the paint pots by Imperial Geyser, the viscous pool here is a prime example of what happens when there is a lot of loose dirt and rainfall where the heat from underground vents to the surface. Many other features can be found along the boardwalk here as well. The furthest downstream site of the Firehole River geyser basins is Fountain Flat Drive. Between Fountain Paint Pots and the entrance to Fountain Flat Drive is a broad meadow where it is common for bison to congregate. Fountain Flat Drive does provide access to some hydrothermal features. But it is also a place to appreciate the more subtle beauty along the river. From the end of the drive, you can continue on foot or bike all the way to the Midway Geyser Basin if you want, and see things like Ojo Caliente Spring along the way. So that sums up an area of the park with a high density of features. From these 3 geyser basins, there will be detailed videos of the 7 areas shown here where you can really see the features in each area. Subscribe to our channel to be notified when these videos are available. For more information about the Experiencing Life series, visit lifetrips.net.